Diana, Princess of Wales, has been killed in a car accident.
For nearly 3 decades, her resting place remained untouched. No cameras, no visitors, no disturbance. Just silence, and a story that never really ended. 27 years later, they opened Princess Diana's tomb, and what they found changed everything. Princess Diana was buried on September 6, 1997, after a funeral that stopped the world. More than 2 billion people watched as she was laid to rest, and yet the place chosen for her burial was not public, not grand, and not easily accessible. She was taken to Althorpe, her family's estate, and placed on a small island in the middle of a lake. That island was meant to protect her. It created a distance between Diana and the world that had followed her every move in life. Water surrounded the site, acting as a quiet boundary. Only close family could approach it. No crowds, no photographers, no daily reminders of the chaos she had lived through. For 27 years, that peace remained. People visited the memorial nearby. Flowers were left, letters were written, but the tomb itself stayed sealed. No one touched it. No one spoke publicly about what lay inside beyond the official details from her funeral. And then, something changed. According to insiders and quiet reports that began circulating, concerns started to grow about the long-term condition of the burial site. The island, while symbolic and beautiful, was not a traditional burial location. It sat in water, it faced weather, time, and natural wear. Over the years, questions came up. Was the structure still secure? Was everything inside preserved the way it should be? An engineering assessment was reportedly carried out at Althorpe. The results did not suggest an emergency, but they raised enough concern to require further inspection. There were also legal and preservation reasons being discussed quietly, especially around private burial grounds and long-term maintenance. At the same time, there was something more personal. Prince William and Prince Harry were said to have asked questions about their mother's resting place, not out of suspicion, but out of reassurance. They wanted to know that everything remained as it should be. Eventually, a decision was made. The tomb would be opened, not publicly, not documented for the world. This would be a controlled private operation, handled with care and secrecy. On the day it happened, Althorpe was closed. Access was restricted. Only a small group of specialists and family members were present. Engineers, preservation experts, and a limited number of trusted individuals were involved. The process took hours. Everything was done slowly, carefully. When the burial chamber was finally accessed, there was silence. Those present reportedly paused before moving forward, not out of fear, but out of respect. It had been 27 years since anyone had seen this place. The initial findings were reassuring. The structure held. The environment inside had remained sealed, just as intended. Concerns about water damage were not as severe as feared. But then something unexpected happened. Items were discovered that were not part of the official burial record. That is where everything changed. When Diana was buried, certain items were publicly known. Photographs of her sons, a rosary given by Mother Teresa, personal mementos that reflected her life and her faith. Those were recorded.
And then I woke up very, very early on the Wednesday morning between the death and the funeral.
What was found now was different. There were additional objects inside the chamber that had never been listed. According to those familiar with the discovery, these items had been placed deliberately, not by accident, not randomly. They were prepared and meant to remain hidden. Among them were sealed envelopes, letters. They were addressed, carefully labeled, preserved. Names were reportedly visible, one for William, one for Harry, one for her brother, Charles Spencer, and possibly others. These were not casual notes. They appeared to be final messages. The idea that Diana had prepared letters to be discovered decades later created a wave of emotion among those present. It suggested something deeper, a level of awareness, a sense that she had thought about what might come after her death. There were also documents, not fully revealed, not publicly shared, but described as personal records. Observations, notes from her time inside the royal family. Some sources claimed these documents related to her experiences during her marriage to King Charles III. Others suggested they included reflections on the pressures she faced and the environment she lived in. Nothing has been confirmed officially, but the existence of these materials alone raised serious questions. Who knew about them, and what was Diana trying to say? There were also smaller personal items, objects that carried emotional meaning, things that would not matter to the public, but would matter deeply to the people they were intended for. At that point, the operation changed. It was no longer just an inspection, it became something private. Family members reportedly asked others to step away. What happened next has not been fully described, but the reactions afterwards were enough to tell the story. People came out visibly affected. The discovery did not suggest anything dark or disturbing. It was not about damage or conspiracy. It was about intention. Diana had left something behind, not for the public, for the future. The letters in particular became the focus. Those who have spoken indirectly about them describe them as deeply personal, thoughtful, reflective.
Harry, he's just 12 years old.
Her message to William is said to have focused on responsibility, on the kind of leader he would become, on the importance of empathy, and the mistakes she hoped he would avoid. Her message to Harry was described as more emotional, more protective. She understood his nature, and she spoke to it, encouraging him to stay true to himself and not lose his identity within royal expectations. There was no anger in these letters, no direct accusations, more a sense of reflection, understanding what had happened without trying to rewrite it. For the family, this created a difficult situation. These materials were private, personal, meant for specific people, but they also carried historical weight. There were discussions about what should happen next. Should the documents be sealed again? Or should any part of this be shared with the public? There were different views. William was said to favor privacy, keeping things within the family, protecting his mother's words from becoming public debate. Harry, according to some reports, leaned towards openness, believing that Diana's voice had always connected with people and that her final messages might carry meaning beyond the family. Charles Spencer, as the head of the Spencer family, held a key role in these discussions. The tomb was on Spencer land. The items were found within that space. Legally, they belonged to the family, not the institution Diana married into. This added another layer of tension. The palace, while informed, had no direct control over the materials, and that carried uncertainty. For years, Diana's story has been managed carefully. What is shared, how it is presented, what remains private. This discovery disrupted that balance. It introduced something new, something personal, yet powerful. Even now, nothing has been officially released. No letters have been published, no documents confirmed. But the story continues to circulate because it speaks to something people have always felt about Diana, that there was more beneath the surface, more than what was shown, more than what was understood. And now, 27 years later, the idea that she may have left behind a final message has only deepened that feeling. Her resting place remains at Althorpe, quiet, protected, but the story around it has changed.
Be amongst the sweet scent of these flowers.
And that changes how people see her final chapter, not as an ending, but as something that was always meant to be revisited in her own time.